we now turn our attention to probably one of the biggest stories that's happening around the world, which is the latest unfolding in West Asia, the crisis and the chaos that Syria has now been thrown into. Amidst the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire, West Asia's theatre of war has now completely shifted to Syria, and you are seeing that on your screens. The map really tells you where exactly the epicenter is of what's unfolding right now in Syria. As the rebels continue gaining ground after taking the country's second biggest city of Aleppo, the Assad regime is striking back with Russia's help. Syrian military is rushing reinforcements to the northwest and launched airstrikes on Sunday to push back insurgents who seized the country's largest city of Aleppo. In the latest, Iran pledged to help the government counter the surprise offensive. Tehran has been a key political and military ally of Syrian president in the country's long-running civil war. Iranian foreign minister met President Assad in Damascus on Sunday as Syria launched a counterattack against a surprise assault by the insurgents. Al-Assad regime troops have created a strong defensive line in northern Hama as they attempt to stall the insurgents' momentum. The surge in fighting has raised the prospect of another violent, destabilizing front reopening in West Asia at a time when there is constant fighting still as far as Hamas in Gaza is concerned. It also risks drawing Russia and Turkey into direct heavy fighting against each other. Both these countries have their own interests to protect in Syria. Meanwhile, Arab leaders, including Jordan's King Abdullah II and UAE's President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, also have called Assad to express their solidarity with what's really happening in Syria. All right, let's get in the two big voices joining me on the show. Dr. Shubhda Chaudhary, who is the founder of the Middle East Insights program, and we had Dr. Awwad, who's in fact a Syrian, joining me on the show to really give us a sense of how things are unfolding. Dr. Awwad, let me start with you, sir. As things are unfolding right now in Syria, the developments have been so fast-paced. They've really changed the game, haven't they, in the last 2 to 3 days? Talk to us about how do you see things unfolding and what could be behind the surprise attack?
Thank you, Gaurie. I think what happened exactly what's going on in Gaza for the last 14 months, that the war Israel expanded into Lebanon, and when the ceasefire took place in Lebanon, Prime Minister Netanyahu threatened the Syrian president, and he told him that you're playing with fire. And the intelligence of Israel and Turkey met together and immediately launching the attack by these terrorist organizations, which is affiliated to Al-Qaeda, which is recognized by the international community as a terrorist organization along with ISIS. And therefore, we know that out of the 28 military groups are active in the occupied part of Syria, northern eastern part by Turkey and northwestern part by United States, are supported by both the countries and are destroying totally Syria. So therefore, immediately those troops, have been moved inside Syria. And there was a truce between us in Astana, between Syria, Iran, Russia and Turkey, that there should be no firing, no attack by any side, neither on the opposition forces or nor on the Syrian part. So therefore, these rebels, we all know that these are actually Uyghur, Uzbek and Tajik who have joined, and they are not even Syrian.
Dr. Awwad, that before I get in, Shubhda, let me ask you this, that given how unstable the Assad regime looks right now, in your assessment, do you think the Bashar al-Assad regime could actually survive, or there is a very serious chance of Syria falling into further chaos if his government falls?
No, absolutely. There is a strong support for the Syrian government. By the way, this is not the first time Aleppo was taken by the terrorist organization. We have already liberated, the Syrian army liberated, along with the help of the Russian, the Iranian, the Syrian army, the Popular Front of Iraq, and Hezbollah fighters who have liberated in 2015. And then we liberated the largest part of Syria, actually. And we could do it again. And that's what's happening. I think what we should see, Gaurie, the situation in Syria is not in isolation what's going on in the rest of the West Asia, because this is part of the destabilizing of Syria. If the terrorist organizations take Damascus, they will take Baghdad, they will take Tehran, and they may come back into South Asia as well.
Okay. Dr. Chaudhary, respond to what Dr. Awwad is saying in terms of the larger ramifications of what's unfolding in Syria.
So thank you, Gaurie. And Dr. Waiel is actually more, he has much more of indigenous experience than me. But couple of points. The rebels, basically, it comes from an umbrella group called as Hayat al-Sham, Tahrir al-Sham, HTS. And as he said, there are a lot of foreigners over there, Turkish even. They don't speak Arabic. They're from the outside. They started on 27th of November from the northwestern town of Idlib and started taking over Hama, Homs, Dara, Aleppo. Aleppo was taken over by 29th of November. At the same time, all of this is not happening in isolation because the Lebanon-Israel ceasefire, in spite of being functional, has not been legitimately followed by both sides. There are still skirmishes going on. Now that Iran, Hezbollah were weakened, supposedly, then Syria, which was seen as the state through which weapons were taken over to Lebanon, Israel was very cautious about it. And this kind of an revolution or counter revolution, something was supposed to happen. Now, HTS, it broke away from ISIS in 2014. And it is
Okay,
like
for our viewers, I just want to keep it simple. HTS is the primary outfit that is now leading the anti-government attack, so to say, on the Assad regime right now. Yes, Dr. Chaudhary, you were talking about the timing of this. How do you relate the timing of the fact that it happened just after the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah?
Because the supposed rhetoric is that Iran, Hezbollah, Russia, which is a little, difficult in its own position right now. Russia tried very hard with Syria and Turkey to mend their ties. All of them were weakening. And that is one of the reasons why this was the right time for the HTS to emerge. Now, at the same time, HTS is not the only faction. There are so many other umbrella groups. Now, if they start resurging again, HTS will have problem.
Okay, let's take that one final 30-second response from Dr. Awwad. How do you see this going forward? As Dr. Chaudhary said, that it's not going to be as easy, even for the primary umbrella outfit, HTS, that's fronting this.
I think, let me say it, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, because this is a terrorist organization. It was formed in 2017 on its own, and the Golani is a part of Al-Qaeda. Even the United States knows they have supported them. They supported all these groups, Tahrir al-Sham, Ahrar al-Sham, and Jabhat Watani al-Tahrir. All these groups, actually 21 out of these groups supported by the United States and Israel. So I think what we are looking here as using terrorism as a tool to achieve political objectives.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out the time and really decoding a story that I'm going to keep coming back to in coming days.